Well, I made another bad decision. Just picked this up. It's a 92 240, the one I was talking about in the previous video. You can tell by the way that it is here. Needs some stuff done to it. Got some pretty gnarly oil leaks. AC works, that's good. Runs good though. It's got some faded paint, GL flavor. So she's got the sunroof. Don't mind my gate here closing on the car. But despite this being the way that it is, you can kind of see the B-pillar here. So this back door is caved in because of the B-pillar. It's supposed to be straight, but bam. So this one opens, but not with that door in the way. This one opens because they cut it to make sure it would open and close. Door panels in the trunk. So I'm gonna have to pull this B-pillar out. Have a door coming already. It's already the same color. Ain't worried about it. But it needs a good detail. Needs some love. Crank sunroof, it works. Cut it off. Need to fix the neutral safety switch because it doesn't start unless you pull this back to here, then it'll start. So neutral safety switch, it definitely needs. You can see it. Not even connected to the shifter. Sunroof is nice and smooth. It had an aftermarket wheel in it, but we took it out because I didn't like it. So I'm putting this 84 style wheel in it, just because it's smaller and I don't like the airbag wheels. Got the cover here, just was gonna drive it so I could torque this down, make sure the wheel's on straight. 240,000 miles. I need to remove those white face gauges because I don't like them. It's got a nice dash. It's got one crack right here. Like I said, AC works. Tint is terrible. So all I'm doing to this is a nice engine bay detail, a new door, some other things. I'm not selling it with these wheels. I'm selling it with Hydras. So I'm gonna get started. I'm gonna let this run a little longer to get this engine bay nice and warmed up, and then spray my degreaser all over it and pressure wash this engine bay. I wanna get all this oil out of the way, and then that way I can drive it a little bit once it's all clean and I can see where the oil is actually coming from. But it's most likely coming from the valve cover, but I just wanna make sure. So I'm gonna get this detailed real quick, get the inside detailed, try to make it as presentable as possible, and then start seeing what I'm working with. As you can tell, the wind is pretty gnarly. It's trying to take away my my cover here. So let's go. So far so good. We can set the cruise control. Working great. Got an ABS light. Probably just low on fluid or something. Great sounding exhaust, I might say. Yeah, we definitely gotta get these gauges fixed because I hate that white. So we got a nice vent down here because the door's so bent in. You can see how close it is. It's like 4 inches too close. Should not be that close. Other than that, it's a good car. Just clean the engine bay. Now I'm gonna clean the interior and exterior. Give it a nice little wash. Gotta pick up my mess out here real quick. Move this 242 forward, get this underneath it. Let's get some cleaning going on. All right, so it's a little bit of a mess right now. I'm pulling the IPD sway bars that were on this car and putting them on this car. I've decided I'm probably not going to sell it for at least a while. Just start fixing it up and making it a nice daily driver. Because she's got cruise control, heated seats, power and heated mirrors, fucking sunroof, everything. It's a good car. Other than the door. Other than the door. Which I've got one right here for it. Shout out to my buddy Mike Martinez. Hit him up on Facebook if you need any Volvo parts. He's based out of Austin, I believe. Maybe Dallas. Not 100% sure. But he's always got some random stuff I need. This dashboard is for a buddy of mine that lives down in, well, I'm not going to say, but he lives about 10-20 minutes away from me, but he wasn't able. I can't talk today. He wasn't able to get this from Mike, so Mike dropped it off with me, and I'm going to give it to my buddy when he's free. Pretty clean dash. Got a tiny crack here and a tiny crack here. Tell by this bubbling it might crack eventually. But sway bars, that's why we're here right now. The stock sway bar is about 20 mil. And the new one should be 25. 25.4. So yeah. I could have sworn these were like 19. But oh well. Still a big upgrade. You can tell just by, well, you can't, but I can, the weight of them. This one's a lot heavier, a lot chunkier. And I don't think that whoever put these on this car drove them for very long. Because even looking at the bushings that were in here, these poly bushings, they're in great shape. Still very squishy. So, oh, well, I lost that. But I'm gonna grab these bushings here, clean up these couplers here, get this all cleaned up, put these back in, and throw that in there, and then I gotta work on the rear. And I'll have a totaled 240 with IPD sway bars. So that's good. Well, it's time for me to start cleaning up today's mess. But the IPD sway bars are in. Feels a lot better. What I have realized is I bought this car with a bunch of suspension stuff done on it already. It had the IPD sway bars, Kalfinke pan hard bar, IPD lowering springs, a bunch of other shit. But I just went over there with my dial calipers, and I started measuring the stock sway bars from this one, the IPD sway bars on that one, and then the sway bars on this one. And don't mind my stray cat over there. What are you doing in the street? Come here. Anyways, this is an IPD sway bar in the rear, and it is a 23 millimeter, I believe. You see IPD. I'd have to look back at my notes. But in the front, it is not an IPD sway bar. It is a 240 turbo sway bar because it is 22 millimeter. Something like that. 23 and 22. And the stock is like 19 and 19. On this one, it's 25 and 23. Don't quote me on that. But that means the front on this one is a lot thicker than the 242. Because I think the front on here was a 25 millimeter, if I'm correct. And the front on that's a 22. Some weird shit like that. Anyway, this has been a nightmare. But here's another one of the stock sway bars. This is the rears that I took out. I'm gonna measure this one real quick. If I can find my calipers. Here they are. Yeah, so 19 is stock. And I believe the front was like a 20. Or maybe it was also a 19. Who knows? I don't. Whatever. I need to throw that sway bar in here. Get this car back on the ground. Move it to the front yard to get ready for transportation. And then pull this one up here. Put this door on and see how far off the B-pillar is. And that'll give me an idea of how much I need to pull it out. But that's going to be it for this video. The next video will probably be actually putting the door on and actually being done with the door and all that stuff. But yeah, this should be a good little montage of everything that's happened since I started pulling the motor out of that car. So enjoy. Well, I figured I'd add this little bit in before that actual video ends. Got bored, started working on the door. Old door, you know, it's so bent that usually it'll hold itself up, but I suppose not. The new door is kind of on. I'm just finicking with it. Obviously, there's a huge gap here, but before you couldn't even open the back door. Now you can. And this door is actually straight. That's how it's supposed to be. So you can see how the B pillar, that's where that gap is coming in, is the B pillar, and this door is pushed in like that. So take a step back. You can see the front door and the fender body line is great, straight, and then the back door is just tweaked in. So this door is hard to open. I don't have anything hooked up to it yet, but nor do I have the bolts tight. So it's just kind of doing that. Just trying to get an idea of what I need to do whenever this is closed. So pretty much this entire pillar here needs to be pulled out. I'm not sure where, and I'm not sure how. I wish I had another 4-door to compare to, so I could take some measurements from that pillar to this pillar and, you know, get an idea of how many inches or whatever the hell this needs to be pulled out. But this car was detailed and clean until I started ripping everything apart because I got bored and wanted to fix the door. But yeah, I mean, that's, if you don't hold the door up, that's what it'll do. Hold the door up, give it a nice close, and there you go. That's what you're left with. So I might just bolt the hinges in the way it is, just because the door opens and closes. And later on, when I drop by my dad's house, we're going to do what we did to a white wagon I had a long time ago. That thing had fender, door, and door side swipe. And the junkyard parts I put on it did not line up at all. So we had to pull this pillar and then pull that pillar a little bit with a 4-wheeler and some chain. But I shit you not, when we put those panels on, the gaps were almost perfect. You could not even tell it had been in an accident unless you opened the door and saw the shims in the hinges. But the dude I sold that to, he flew down from Arkansas or something, and I met him at the airport. He drove the wagon back home, and a couple months later, he sent me a picture of the entire, or the gold paint matched white to the rest of the car. And I mean, you could not tell it had been wrecked, and it was a pretty bad one. So I have no doubt in my mind that this will get fixed and be looking good again. So I'm going to keep working at it. I am surprised at how close this paint matched, being obviously it's the same paint color, but you know, cars fade over time, sun fade takes the pigment out of the paint. But you can see here, this door and the roof have seen neglect, sun fade. So this one being nice and shiny, it's whatever. It's better than that. So I'm gonna keep working at it, see how much closer I can get. That about concludes it with this car for right now. Everything's kind of cleaned off. Don't mind this, I was adding some oil because it was a little low. But I got everything cleaned out so I can see what's leaking and where it's leaking from. Still gotta fix the door. I don't know what's going on here. Little dirt. But yeah, I gotta get the door B pillar pulled out. But for right now, it opens and closes and doesn't look like a piece of shit. So that's good. Trunk's nice and clean. A little dirty back here. I was contorting in 13 different ways trying to get the door hinge bolts, because they were all the way at the top. So that's the closed position. That's open. What else? I mean, everything's pretty clean now. Gotta figure out what's going on with this fuse box, because they've got some weird fuses going on. I'll fix that later. Right now it runs, I don't care. Sunroof's working. All my windows are working, even with my shitty tint. Can't do that. You gotta slam it. Now it's shut. But I guess the next video on this channel will be pulling apart Scotia, because once that car is sold and that car is sold, 740, I'm just gonna move this out the way, bring Scotia in here, and start buying all the shit I need for Scotia, rip the motor out, get ready to put that motor in, and just daily drive this nice gat. I'm having a hiccup. I cannot talk today. Wow. Got the hiccups today. Because I don't ever drive the Infiniti. That thing just sits there. Which sucks, but it's the only manual car I have right now, and that's the only thing I don't want to drive is a manual. I can't stand driving manual. So I drive old 40-year-old shit boxes, you know? It's my thing. Alright, stay tuned. Once that's gone, start getting into the real good stuff.